How's it going, guys? Lucas here. Let me introduce you to the new version of LBT Grow. This one comes with some amazing new features like automatic collision and the collision input, adhesion or grow along surface. You can call it what you want. And also the option to add custom forces inside of here. But let me show you on a few examples. In this one you can see I have a super simple basic emitter, just did a simple mountain and moved it in position. In second input, which is the head pieces of the lines, I'm just using a simple cube. And for my collision, I have this head and positioned it and also filled it, because you need watertight meshes, otherwise it won't work properly. In the Growth tool, you can see already it looks a bit different, but it still has the same functions as before. Let me actually display it with the head. But you can see we still have a start frame, we still have a point count, so how many points we want to spawn, minimum age and maximum age, that's how long they are able to move before they get frozen pretty much. Then here, width and scale like we had before. This is for the lines that are growing. You can control the width and also control it with the ramp. And then we have a new tab, which is adhesion. You can activate it here. You can play with the search radius and the multiplier, and also direct it to grow more towards one direction and not just stick to the surface pretty much. Next thing is a ramp, which controls how much stickiness you want along Y pretty much. So it's along the Y side of the object, meaning it's not very sticky at the bottom, then it gets more sticky, and at the top of the head it's not sticky anymore. Like you can see here, the points are allowed to trail away pretty much, and they're not stuck to the head anymore. If I change this ramp now, for example, just to demonstrate, and re-cache this again, it's still very fast, as you can see. You can see the points try to stick to the head way more. Some of them still cross off, which is fine because the multiplier is not at 100%, but you can see they try to grow around the head again. We can try increasing the multiplier a bit more to make it more aggressive, but that also means like the general movement looks a bit more boring probably. But you can see now they stick to the head pretty perfectly. Some of them still bounce away and then come back, but that's a nice behavior because it looks more natural. Also, this behavior is affected by the search radius. So you can see some of those here, they trail outwards and then they may come back. But if you increase the search radius, which is also increasing sim time, they will look further away to pull the points back. So you can see now we probably have less straying out that far. As you can see, that none of them goes outside here anymore. So let me demonstrate the direct tab as well here, or the direct settings. Leaving them at 0 means it tries to stick as much to the object as possible pretty much, and not trailing off towards a direction. You saw the one we did before allowed them to grow further upwards. If I wanted to go towards this direction, for example, I would need some minus Z values. So if I go -1, which is quite powerful, you can see they try as hard as they can to follow this direction, but still like move on the surface, and then of course leaving it because this force is way stronger than the multiplier. So let's do a little bit less, so it's a bit more natural. 0-1 works quite good in most cases. So some go up, as you can see, but in general they try to go around here. So you can control it with that a little bit more. Maybe let's try a 0-5 and see what that one is doing. Maybe already a bit too strong again, but yeah, just play with it and figure out what values work for you. Then another one is just basically the pop forces you can use. So when double clicking into the solver, you can use all kinds of pop forces. In this case, I'm just using a simple curve. This is just a helix I created outside of it. But if you double click the solver, you can just, it brings you into the forces pretty much. And you can put in here whatever you want. I created 2 pop forces, a pop flock, so they try to avoid each other. And then a curve force, which I just pointed to this helix outside. You can create whatever you want in here and use those different pop forces. And you can see this gives you already a way different look from like the growing along surface, for example. Next example is like a simple flock thing going on. You can see here they try to go back, but then they also try to avoid each other. And as you can see, in this case, I used the width ramp to control the trailing of it. You can see the trails are getting longer and longer and longer. That is due to the age, pretty much. But you could also just keep the heads and do trails afterwards or whatever. So this gives you some cool control as well. And we can also introduce collision in here. So let's maybe take another sphere, make it a bit bigger, like maybe 10, maybe even more. Let's do 40. So we have some real objects here to avoid. And then I just bring it into the third input, which is the collision. So you can see new calculation, and you can see they are not going inside of here anymore. They bounce off of it. Let me actually move the sphere a bit further down so it gets even more clear. And you can see they bounce away and they don't go inside. So yeah, you can see it's quite easy to use. You can introduce different collisions and different forces quite easily and get some nice growing effects quite fast. You can also, of course, take other shapes or even grow the particles from the same object. In this case, I just blasted the side of the head. So if I want to use that as an emission source, I can do that as well. So it's growing straight from the head and just growing along it for like, you can use it probably for IVs and stuff that grow on the surface. I will add some more functionality to it. For example, the adhesion ramp, I want to be able to decide what direction it's following. So not just Y, but also X and Z, or like a custom direction drawn by a tool in here, probably like a viewport tool. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the new Grow tool. It's version 1.1, and you can find it in the latest update of the LBT toolkit. Apart from that, I also worked on Splashy. I will not release it with this update because it's not ready yet, but I basically worked on optimal transform, and that will help you to like morph between objects. So having fluids morph between 2 objects, for example, 2 letters like X to Y, and it morphs between those. This is highly related on a lot of Python libraries though, and I want to make it as easy as possible to use, and hopefully you don't have to even install the libraries yourself and they come with the package. But I ran into some issues and I don't have time to handle with to fix that this month. So yeah, it will be released next month, and maybe also having some cool new other things that are not ready yet, but yeah, they're also in development. So on Splashy there are 2 to 3 very cool things that are coming in the next versions, and also the Grow tool will get some additional features as well, like growing extra leaves or extra branches from the curves you grow already. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next one. Cheers.